Hey guys, welcome back to Ear to the Ground episode. Oh, I didn't even write it down. Episode 3, I reckon we're up to now. Got some good feedback about this type of series where we sort of sit down and go through all the rookies, all the target premos, the trades that everyone's doing, and then a cheeky captain's pick at the end. Thanks for the support on the channel so far. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe, and whatnot. It just really helps get the views up and get people into the channel. And thanks to everyone commenting as well. That's been awesome. Love interacting with you guys in the comments. Yeah, absolutely love it. I really appreciate it. Let's crack in straight away. We all know where I'm sitting at the moment, so that's doing well. Big news of the week is obviously this Shy Bolton news. Just absolutely. I mean, I don't blame the bloke. It is what it is. Like, injured in it. For those who don't know, it seems to have been injured in a fight, in a bar. You know, it happens. Whatever. Sounds like they weren't the instigators. Just wrong place, wrong time. Really unlucky for Richmond and for him and for him and for any super coaches who have him. And as you guys know, me being one of those super coaches, so I traded him in this week, and there he is, 2 to 4 weeks. You hope that it's on the shorter side, but we will see, won't we? So let's have a look at these rookies, because rookies this week now, if you're a Bolton owner, rookies this week now are pretty important. You need this forward line was already thin. You need this forward line covered. With this mess that we've got in defense and the mess that we've got up forward, and if you've got Bolton in your team, you really need to hit these rookies this week. And then I'll talk about in the trade section and what you want to do for the weeks after. So who are we talking about when we say nail these rookies? Who are we talking about? There's only a couple on the menu. Poulter is the main one. South Australian boy for Collingwood. Looked good in his debut. When Murphy went off, he seemed to have picked up a bit of extra footy. I don't know if that's related, but he's dropped an 81 last week. So seems to be, even with a 50, seems to be an on-field option. So yeah, I think he's a must-have. DPP as well, so he works really well if you've got Scott, or Bolton. He works really well because he can flip. He can be that third guy that you can flip around. You can shuffle him around while Bolton's out. You can keep going. And assuming Waterman doesn't come in for Stringer this week, which he might, you can use Poulter to cover. You can do some loop stuff with Waterman. So I think he's probably one of the most must-have rookies we've had this year, especially considering all the outside factors, and that's shown by the top trades. I mean, everyone is doing Poulter, and I will be too. Who else we got? We've got Highmore. We'll talk about him in the trade section. Again, I've been saying for ages, you can't let go a break-even of 67. I flipped on that. It's almost too late. You're going to get, the way we're looking, the aim is to be full premium by the buys, and it's round 8. So the longer this goes, the less money we're getting out of this bloke. And what are the serious chances that he comes back into the team and stays in the team? This is the last week I'm going to wait on Highmore. If he's not named on Friday, I think it's fair game to trade him because you're not getting anything out of him. And you can always go back to him if it times well. You can go back to him later in the year if you have to. But by then, it's too late. At best, you're getting one price rise out of this bloke, and he's dead money, and he has been dead money for 6 weeks. Who else we got? Jordan Sweet. Don't like it. I know a lot of people would love to get Jordan Sweet in for Flynn. I think you just ride Flynn out. There's no hurry on Flynn, as I said in the Sunday episode. No hurry on Flynn. He's going to make you about 200k eventually. Whenever you need that cash boost from Flynn, grab it. Probably now is not the time. So if you're thinking of cheating and going Flynn to Sweet. I think it's a bad call. He's inconsistent game time. He played in round 5 and he played in round 8. He's going to be in and out of the team. I just don't know why you would do Flynn to Sweet. The only correct option for Flynn is a random 100k ruck forward a la Combin or someone who isn't going to play. You get every single cent you can out of Flynn, and then you can use that as a loophole. There's no point going to Flynn to another ruckman unless some sort of huge player comes out. I don't know who that could be, but if a Riley O'Brien type resurfaces this week, then maybe I could see. I mean, it'd be really unlikely, but you could see the Port kid come in. I can't remember his name. You could see him come in for Lyset for 4 weeks, and maybe he pops off. But the risk is you get 2 price rises out of him, and then he flips out for Lyset. Lyset's a premiership ruckman, and he's one of their best players. So, yeah, I mean, Flynn to the Port ruck is probably the best call in 3 weeks' time, rather. But, well, it depends what his price is. I haven't actually looked. Let's do it. Hayes 123. I don't really like it. It depends what he does. If this guy goes 90 and then 100, you probably do Flynn to him because Lyset's not back for 4 weeks. So I think you probably do take Hayes in 2 weeks' time, and you just leave 20k on the table, sadly. But then you got to think, is it worth it? Because then you got to use another trade to do it. So if you're going to do anything, it's Hayes, but I don't know, Combin I like because he's DPP, and Tracy I like because he's DPP, assuming he doesn't play. That's very important that Tracy doesn't play. Again, before you do it. Who else we got that you would do Flynn to? I think they were the only 2, if I remember rightly, at the start of the year. Yeah, that's it. That's all. Yeah, so they're your choices. I wouldn't go on Flynn just yet. I'll go back to you. What other rookies will we talk about? Sweet. Right, there's Riley Collier-Dawkins. Now, interesting about Riley Collier-Dawkins. I wrote him off last week because he's a Richmond player, and Richmond have all these ins coming back. And suddenly, they don't. They've got Bolton out. Suddenly, they've got a few other outs. And the player in rank 1 has Riley Collier-Dawkins, went early, and of course it went well for him. So I'm less bothered about Riley Collier-Dawkins. I just feel like Caleb Poulter's the better call. And in hindsight, especially with what happened to Murphy, Collier-Dawkins last week or Poulter last week, and then one of those 2 this week was the right call. But you can't. That's the way Supercoach goes. You can't see that. I don't feel bad if you take Riley Collier-Dawkins this week. Perhaps you went early on Caleb Poulter last week. I think that's fine. He probably will play a little bit longer. I think there are other guys to go before then. But just be careful because he's not going to be... I'm happy to eat my words, but he's not going to be part of their team towards the end of this year. Guys like Loston, guys like Bolton, they're all coming back in. I just can't see how he fits in at the end of the day. But, hey, that's not to say if you can get a good, like I've been saying for these last few, if you can get someone to go to the buys, Riley Collier-Dawkins probably does play to the buys, and that's all you really need. You just need cash before the buys. Any money after round 12, 13 is wasted money. You should have a nearly full premium team by that second week of the buys, third week of the buys, whatever, the last week of the buys. And if you don't, then these guys are handy for catch-up, but most players at the echelon that I'm playing at, where a lot of top-ranked players are, and where you should aim to be, is care less about money afterwards, which is why I'll do the trade that I'm going to do at the end of the episode. Owies, I know that's not how you say his name, but it's better that way. Owies is a much better name. Yeah, I like him. Carlton seemed to look decent with him in the team. He does a bit, gets a bit of the footy. Wouldn't be opposed to put him in. I just feel like there's better options. Poulter and Collier Dawkins, I think, is a better option than Owies. I do like the forward tag. Forward is hard to come by at the moment. So if you're doing a Walker, you do Poulter, and then who else are you doing? You're doing Warner maybe to Owies, but then you probably just ride Warner out as opposed to wasting a trade on Owies and then trading again in 3 weeks. But you can. If you wanted to do 2 down this week, I would probably suggest Owies and Poulter over Poulter and Collier Dawkins, just because of job security. But any Carlton's fans want to chime in on what his deal is? Will he play? Like, who else is coming in? Feel free to chime in there. There's only a couple more. Burns is another one. I'm not going St Kilda rookies. They're not for me anymore. We have to learn from Highmore here that he played 2 and got done. I'm not having that with Burns. At least we'll know because they're playing Friday. The team will come out Thursday for him. So we will know whether Burns is playing or not, but you can't trust them. You can't trust that they're going to play. I don't expect him to keep scoring the way he does, and I just feel like he's probably not relevant compared to Poulter or Collier Dawkins, if I'm being honest with you. Last one, though, is this Harry Edwards. Now, being a South Australian, we get a little bit of this, but it's even worse for Western Australians. Nobody cares about him. All the big, chat about rookies and new players all circles around the either high picks or Eastern State kids, Victorian kids. Nobody's heard about Harry Edwards. But he's dropped a 60 and a 43 in his last 2 games. The concern again is that these guys have got, or West Coast have outs. We're talking about some pretty big outs that are slowly coming back in. You got to wonder how long he lasts as a player. But West Coast have a pretty... And I have him open. No, West Coast also have a terrible bye. On a round 13 bye isn't bad. And it gives you the 4 weeks to play with him, especially in defense. Is he scoring? I think with points... Yeah, I think with points that are coming through defenders at the moment, you only want one rookie on field in defense, and that's Butts. If you can help it, you can have 5 premiums up there. I think that's probably your best go. And that's it. You wouldn't look at anyone else. We'll talk about Murphy. That's disappointing, but don't trade after 1 week. He will be back. He's very good. Showed what he does. Sproul not relevant. That's it. So they're your rookies. So hopefully that's given you a good idea about who you should be looking at, who you think is the best rookie to go for. Keep in mind that we're getting close to this round 10-12, and we've been told that Lachie Jones is ahead of Butters as far as recovery goes with the injury. So expect him in the next week or 2, and he's an instant in for me. As soon as he's back in the Port team, he's the trade to make. So set aside a week for Jones to return. They'll make a big deal out of it because they want to get him Rising Star nominated. They love their young kids. They'll tell you Sunday night. They'll probably tell you in the press conference if they lose that Lachie Jones is back next week. So don't stress about if you're an owner of him. It's coming soon. And if you're not an owner, keep this in mind, because regardless of all these rookies that are going to be coming in over the next few weeks, Jones is the number 1 target within or in the next week or 2. I would say more 2 to 3 weeks. And he's handy because he's a scorer, so it's not a huge deal if you have to emergency him through on the buys. And Porter on the round 12 buy, which is a very nice buy to have if he's back by round 13. You can flick him in, and then he can cover you if he's back by after the buy, then he can cover you for the 13 and 14 buy on field, and then slip off while he makes money for you. So, really like him. What else we got on the menu here, boys? Premos. So, It's all well and good to talk about rookies. Who are we bringing in? Who are the players that everyone wants to bring in this week? The most everyone's talking about two at the moment. Two guys. Tom Mitchell. If you don't have him, everyone seems to be pulling the trigger on him now. He's the most traded in player at the moment, outside of Poulter. Most traded in premium, I should say. And I don't really get why. I guess because he's got North with a high score of 178, but his high scores are insane, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. He played West Coast, got 147. He did look good. I'm not sure if he's really Supercoach relevant this year. He has to get a lot. I think I go two ways on Mitchell. I think he's one of the best Supercoach players of all time. He had one of the best single seasons of all time. He was so good when he played for Sydney. You had him in your team then as well when he would play. It's just that this year he doesn't seem to be playing any worse. He's getting a heap of footy. He's not butchering the ball. And he's just not scoring the same as he has in years past. They're just not giving him the score. I think that has a lot to do with Champion Data are giving winners way more scaling than losing teams. Well, I don't know if that's conspiracy time or what, but it does seem that if you win, you do get a lot more extra points. And Hawthorn are not winning games anytime soon. They might beat North, maybe. Playing in... Where's this? Tasmania? Is that Tasmania? Yeah, it must be. Look, they might win that one, but just keep that in mind. You get a winner's tax or reverse tax, winner's refund, I guess, if you want to call it that. And, he's a nice price, though. $5.25. It's probably as low as you're going to get him. Round 12 buy, which is nice. I can certainly get around the Tom Mitchell trade. What I don't really like is your midfield options in the middle at the moment are Jordan and Powell. And then you've probably got premiums for the rest. And then I've got Laird in that one spot. So I bring Poulter in. I'm happy to put Poulter on field. I'm happy to even loop Scott in on field. Move Bolton up to the forward and use Bolton as the loop and loop between McNeil and Scott, who are scoring really nicely as well at the moment. So that's a choice that I have. Whereas if you bring in Tom Mitchell that means you've got to have either Scott, McNeil, Powell, Jordan, one of those on the bench, and I just don't think any of those on the bench is a good idea. McNeil maybe, and Poulter maybe, but you want Scott on field, you want Powell on field, you want Jordan on field, and then that just doesn't really demand you to be trading in a mid this week. That you probably want to be trading in a defender or a forward mid. I don't know if you want to go mid only this week, considering all the other issues we've got at defense and forward line. If your team's similar to mine, that is. The other one is Mills. Now I would go Mills. I'll preface this by saying I would take Mills right now, and I still might. The only issue is that the guy in position 1 also has him. Now, if you want to play for overall, like I do play for overall. I don't really look at leagues a huge amount. And you don't have Mills now, you're probably too late. You're not getting anything back on the top guys by picking Mills right now. Now that's obviously, I'm only talking to a select few people now and a select few viewers when I say picking Mills. Don't pick Mills because the number one guy has him. But if you look at it from my point of view, I'm in the top 100. If I bring in Mills, I do nothing to beat the guy in position 1 because he has Mills. So it's just a guy. Now we're just matching score, and he got all the scores that Mills just got. So he got the 145. I didn't, and he got the 100 and the 136. He got all of those because he had him. I don't know when he picked him up, but he had him, and I didn't. So I'm not gaining anything on the top players by having him, but I'm also not losing anything by having him. But I could play off a different defender against him. People are doing harms. I'll talk about him soon. But I could play a different defender against him. I could back Darcy Moore in. I could back another one to try to beat him. Power, probably not, but well, I was going to say Wiedering, but I think the top guy has Wiedering or he has Doherty. I don't remember which one he has, but he has that too. So you've got to think about that. In your league, so if you're just going for league wins, which a lot of people are just going for league wins, Mills is sick. I mean, this guy's wild. 100 in his last 3 seems to be the lowest. He's going to cop it as about 80 odd. Really does seem to be a beauty, and he covers that whole. I think the first place you want to fill up with true premiums is defense, because those top scorers I think have shown themselves now. I think Mills is it. If we go to defense, while I'm talking about Mills here, let's go to defense and let's go to total points. Yeah, right. So I think now I've said all that about Mills, but now I didn't realize he had done this. I am now extremely interested in Mills on my team. So I think the top 6 have shown themselves. I think it's Laird, I think it's Lloyd, I think it's Stewart. I do think Mills for the Supercoach relevancy. I have Jath, and then Ridley's the other one. I think they're the ones you want to go for if you get it first, and you want to get those premiums first. I don't think you can go any wrong with that. Whereas mids, there's still a bit of conversation, and forwards, who knows? I'll get to forwards soon, but who knows what's going on there. So you want to try to avoid forwards as much as you can, just get some scores on field. But I think you're safe to say you can pick 6 good defenders at the moment, and any one of these top 10 are good. And I have all of my defenders except for Jath are in the top 10 at the moment, and I have enough trades where I can trade Jath late if I want to. I may not, but with between Short and Jath, I'd prefer to only have one of those by the end of the year, and that's what will happen. I think I'll see how we're trekking. I'll see how many trades I've got left once I'm full Premo, and I'll decide which one of these two I'm going to flip for a real Premo, be that one of these guys, probably Ridge. So maybe Mills is the go, considering he's the only one better than Tom Stewart. So that's certainly a thought. There's definitely something I'm going to think about now that I've seen this. And that's why we do these episodes, so I can sort, have a look and flesh it out with you guys. Yeah, I wish I hadn't done that now. And who else we got? Who else people bring in? Harms. I just spoke about him before. A lot of people bring in Harms. He's played 2 games. Price-wise, he's 344. He's about to go up in price. I can certainly understand why, but 60 and 132, I don't see why you'd waste the trade doing this. Unless you've got someone who, in defense, who just isn't working out for you. I just don't understand why you'd do this. I mean, what's everyone doing it for? Traded in for Kaczynski, Chapman, Walker, Clark. Yeah, I can certainly see the Walker hoping to ride someone to 500k again, but Harms ain't it. Yeah, I don't like any of these. I don't like any of these. I don't think this is I just don't see how it's relevant, but he is extremely popular. As you can see, there's probably 1,000 people have probably traded him in this week. Obviously I'll talk about Ridley. Ridley has been scoring slowly. He's 488. It was once nearly 700,000. Hasn't looked good the last 2 weeks. Has looked a little. So he had the concussion, and as I said last week, he didn't look well in his game back against Carlton, and he still just doesn't look like he's just found himself just yet. He will be the guy that you bring in. I don't think you can resist a 488. But what's his break even? Still 119. So you're still safe. And he has around 13 buy, which is not ideal, but it might be all right. The round 13 buy. I'd have to look again. But either way, just hold off on Ridley, I think, at the moment. I don't think it's the worst call if it's the last defender you need. Put him in. I just think... I mean, for those who didn't watch last week, I'll do it like this. You don't get these points for Ridley. You don't get... So he dropped... So his first 4 weeks were as good as anyone's first 4 weeks in Supercoach history. 125, 136, 147, and 124. You don't get those points by trading Ridley in. Like, you don't... It doesn't add to your score. It doesn't go towards your total because, hey, now you've got Ridley, you get to have an extra... what is that? 600 points. That's not how it works. What you get is a bloke scoring 85 average for the last 2 weeks. Now, that's not to say that he isn't going to score 120 next week against Fremantle. That's not to say he isn't going to drop 100 and something on North. But you'd want to see him come back there. Concussion can mess someone up. And it could take him all season to get back to the Ridley that we know. Or that we got used to, rather. Not that we know. He's only a couple of years in the league. I'll keep that in mind about Ridley. But for the price, I can certainly understand getting him in. And if you'd have someone like... If you have 5 defenders and you're looking to go butts to someone this week, don't. But if you're looking to move someone and you want to get Ridley, you can for 488. I think it's a good deal. There's a few more. Darcy Moore in defense is talked about a lot. I honestly think that's a little too risky, Darcy Moore. He's 365, really nice price. He's always had a Supercoach relevant role when he was the 2 role player, when he was defence forward. He was that for a couple of years. I think it's just too dangerous to take Darcy Moore. When he plays in defence, he is a 100 average player. Intercept mark, he's probably all Australian. The risk is that Buckley... I mean, how do you phrase this? He was an all-Australian defender for 3 weeks. And then Buckley said, we're going to play him in forward. And then he looked absolutely horrendous in forward. He just doesn't look anywhere near the player that he was as a defender. He finally puts him back in defence against North. Again, the score's 130. And everyone says, well, he'll never do that again. But I only have to remind you that 4 weeks ago, he was in all-Australian form as the best intercept marker in the league. And he still moved him forward. So there's every risk that you pick Darcy Moore and he drops a 20 on you. Or he drops a 60 because Buckley at quarter time says, DeGoey's out. DeGoey's getting hard marked. We need more up forward. We need DeGoey in the middle. So, pick him at your own risk. Do pick him at your own risk. I'll steer pretty well clear of him. Who else we got here? The guy that I really like, and up until I saw Mills, and I may not be able to do it, but is Aaron Hall. A lot of people talking about Aaron Hall. I think this is a sleeper pick. Not many people are picking Aaron Hall because they see 6 and they see 37. I think this is almost a no-brain pick. This round 1 is injured. Round 2, he was obviously not quite fit enough. Picked as the sub and came on at 3/4 time. So a 6-point quarter in his first AFL game back. There it is, minutes, 5. Points per minute, 5. He did nothing. He barely played. Forget it. 81, first game as a starter. 133, 37, he got concussed at about during the second quarter sometime. Maybe early second quarter. So subbed out. So misses round 6, comes back, and unlike Ridley, has dropped 100, has dropped 113. 400k as low as you're going to get him, and he's a forward. And that, I think, as I've said before, I know I said we don't know who the good forwards are, but you need points. And I don't think anyone should be afraid of spending 400k to get rid of Walker, especially this week when we're getting rid of Walker, to put Hall in the forward line, especially with Bolton out. So I think this is such an underrated pick, and it blows me away that more people aren't talking about him, because it just seems like a no-brainer to me. Price-wise, he's very nice. Worst comes to worst, he goes up to 500k, and he starts to ease off because it's North Melbourne. But that said, who's the other guy? Zeeble plays for North, and he's the number 1 forward. So there's no reason why Aaron Hall, who is actually playing midfield as a forward, doesn't, or maybe half back, I think it is, doesn't keep this scoring up. And I'm gonna ride it same way I rode Walker. So if this guy gets me to 500k, and then you can flick into someone else at forward, whoever that may be. I don't think there's many options, if I'm being totally honest with you guys. Maybe. I think he's your best option. And then I probably won't speak about him too much anymore, but I've spoken about Zorko a bunch of times now. I don't know where he is in here. I think he dropped an 80 or something. I have come around on Zorko. I probably should have picked him 2 weeks ago. He's still 492. I really like him. He seems to be going at a steady pace of 100. The only worry I have is that Neil will come soon. And what does that do to Zorko's scoring? Maybe nothing, maybe something. It concerns me a little bit. Another round 13 bye player. But forward mid, he works very similar to Bolton, where you can trade him around, put him in the middle if you need him, put him in the forward line if you need him. I think it is a really nice pick. I think it's probably a miss for me. I'm not going to get him, but I probably miss getting him. I could have him instead of Bolton, but I don't. And I could have, him instead of Marshall, and that would be a bad call. But either way, I think that's a really safe pick, Zorko. I really enjoy it. You could do that this week, still at 492, but for any more than that, I don't think you want to pay up anymore. I think this is the last week on Zorko. That's about all the players I'll rattle off. If there's anyone I miss, feel free to put them in the comments. Ask me about them. I know there's a lot of talk about guys like Lions. I'm not going to go through those really obvious guys. If you need, if you've got 800k after you do your 2 trades, then yeah, sure, go get Bontempelli, go get Guthrie, go get Lions. Bring in those really top end players. Sure, because we're not gonna talk about that because that's silly. Obviously, McRae, Bond, Stewart. Zeeble, those guys, obviously you're going to get those. I mean, let's be serious here. You're obviously going to bring these guys in if you can. Guthrie, Lyons, do it. Just go do it. Like you don't have to watch a video to be told to trade Jared Lyons or Cameron Guthrie in. Well, I hope not anyway. So we'll do a quick look at the trades that I'm thinking of doing. Now I spoke about it briefly at the start of the episode. I'm done with Highmore. The good part is that I can see if he's picked on the Friday night. St Kilda are playing Friday night, and the Saturday team for Richmond is out before the game starts. So I can choose on Friday between Mansell and Highmore. And shout out to, let me look up quickly who it was, because now I did already have this in mind right after I filmed the video on the weekend. I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this instead. I don't want to trade Warner. It was, I'm just trying to find you, mate. Peter. Old mate Peter Moomer. I hope I've said that right. So why not get rid of Tex and Mansell, swing Laird back, grabs Mills / Ridley, and Poulter. Saying that Mansell's a dead rookie. I'd probably disagree with that one, Pete, but I certainly agree with trading one of these. Because, look, the best Mansell probably is going to make a little bit more cash. For me, though, does that matter? I don't know. And if he gets traded, if he gets dropped, which could happen on Saturday, then you're correct. He is an absolutely dead rookie. So let's just say between those two, I'm done with Highmore if he's not picked. And if Mansell is dropped, then Highmore again holds his spot, and I'm getting rid of Mansell. So let's just say we'll do the scenario where Mansell is picked. I trade Highmore. Look, obviously Walker's the one. I waited too long. Hindsight being 2020, I should have traded Walker last week, but I'm just too attached. He's Taylor Walker. Love the guy. That gives me 589 to play with. First one's obviously Poulter. You have to go Poulter. Yeah, you send Laird back firstly. You go Poulter, and I've got 472 to play with if I do Highmore, which is great because that gives me That gives me Aaron Hall in the forward line. And suddenly I can sub Scotty for Bolton. So you kind of have to visualize that, because rather than completing the trades, I'll just say I send Scotty for Bolton, and there's 6 nice players in the forward line with McCreary and probably Waterman who's playing. And if not, I can actually do a bit of a loop between these 3 guys, between your Scotty, McCreary, and Waterman, and even Warner. You can do that sort of loop there. And then the midfield, that looks nice there. I like this. The 3 on-field players are really nice. You could always do, if Brockman doesn't get picked, which it sounds like he might, you can loop again Poulter and McNeil. So you can certainly look at that as an option. Oh, well, I'd have Bolton there, so I can loop all of them with Bolton. Oh, they're Saturday night. I'd have to look. But you could do some, either way. And then the defense, with Laird on, just looks so much nicer. It just looks so much better. You don't have to worry about this Highmore situation anymore. I still have 50k in the bank. I've got increasing rookies with Mansell and Murphy. Butts is my on-field player who looks to be an absolute beaut. Carry him to the bye. Jath, love him. And Laird on field. So that's 5 hopefully keepers in defense, plus Butts to the draw. So it's a beautiful look as far as that goes. The only thing I might do differently would be I probably have to cancel this in order to do it. Yeah. It'll probably wig out now that I do this. We'll just cancel it and go again. The other one is correct, as Pete said, Mansell. So I could do Mansell, I could do Walker, and then I'm in real money. I can send Laird back. You can grab Poulter, and you got 528 to play with. And who costs 528? Let's have a look around. What could I do with 528? What's all this? As a forward, who do we like? None of these guys. The only forward I'm bringing is Hall, so then I'd be sending him here, and I could do Tom Mitchell. I could do. He's probably the only mid I'd do. Taranto is the other one, but for the same reasons I don't like Mills, it's the same reason I don't like Tom Mitchell. I can keep Laird there. And I can do just no one I really like here that I can afford anyway. Sadly, can't afford Mills. Can do Wiedering that I do, and I do like Wiedering. The only way I can get Mills is to do Warner, and I don't think Warner is the correct trade this week. Especially if these 2 are dropped, then I'm forced to make a move. Then, if Highmore's not playing and Mansell isn't playing, I am forced to do this trade. Question is, if they're both playing, then what do you do? Then I probably do Warner. So let's just take Mansell out. Oh, okay, we'll reset it again. If Mansell is dropped, geez, what a conundrum that'd be. Somehow Laird's ended up in my forward line as a forward defense player, so we'll just cancel that. So we'll hit Walker again. And then Mansell and Highmore both picked. Somehow Highmore's back in the team. Then you click Warner. You bring in. Jeez, it makes it a bit uglier, doesn't it? You bring in your bring in Poulter because he's the absolute gimme, and then you got 684 to do anything you want, and that's where it gets really interesting, because suddenly I can start saying, all right, well, instead of Hall, who I can wait on, I could send Scotty here and just go straight to Guthrie. Where is he? Guthrie, 600. Gives me 80k. That's assuming they're still playing. I mean, look at that. And then you put Powell on. Jeez. That's decent, isn't it? You can go Lions as well if you like him. Who has the better buy out of these two? I don't think you can see him that way. You have to go like this. That's a round 13 buy, and Guthrie is 12. So I probably like Guthrie better than Lions for the buys. Geez, an interesting thought. The difference between Highmore getting picked and not is the difference with me adding Guthrie or not. And I will do that. Don't think I won't. I will play Guthrie. It's food for thought anyway. So they're the trades I'm thinking of. Yeah, look, and thanks for bearing with me. It's been a lengthy video, but you know what? This is a real sit down. I'm going to try to work out how to put it into a podcast for you guys so you can listen to it on the way to work, on the way home from work. If you're listening to this in the office, throw it on. If you've got, if you're just sitting at a computer all day, throw it on in the background. Don't expect you to sit here and watch it all in one sitting. Really chew it out. Have a good, real Supercoach session. When you just feel like losing yourself in a Supercoach session, I'm happy to be that background noise for you. So the lucky last thing we're going to do now is your captains. What are you going to do as captains? You can see I've probably already got it set up. I think you've got to go Grundy. Grundy plays Saturday, so you can try to loop him in. Be really careful with that because you might get stung. Highmore is playing on Friday, so you can't loop him. Waterman's your only player, and there's every chance Waterman gets picked. Well, for me anyway. There's every chance Waterman gets picked, and I can't loop him against Brockman. So I might even, just for the sake of it, I might even go Stewart into Grundy. I don't really trust Gawn at the moment. I don't think he's a captain option at the moment. Although, that said, Gawn against Carlton with Pitnet not playing, I think you're probably safe. And I think there's enough people in the league who just slap the C on Gawn anyway that you're probably okay to do it. So what I'd be waiting on is, on Friday night, is Flynn picked or not? If he's not, then you've got a very easy loop for Grundy. And if Flynn is picked, then you kind of have to do a St Kilda or Geelong player. And I might do Guthrie if that works out the way it does. Let's just say it's Tom Stewart into, or Jack Steele. It might even be Jack Steele into Grundy, and that way you're covered with Flynn. Because Murphy you can't use. Bolton you have to use by Saturday, so you can't use Bolton either. Because he's playing the same game as GWS. So it's tough. It is tough. So keep that in mind. There's not many good loops on the Sunday at the moment anyway, unless Waterman gets picked, but it's just so dangerous with Stringer out. I think Waterman will come back. Played in the VFL. I don't know how he went, but yeah, keep that in mind. Anyway, thanks guys. If you made it the whole way through, thanks a lot. Throw some interaction in the chat, whatever you want to write. Let's write pray for Bolton's wrist in the chat if you've watched all the way to the end. Look, have a good one. Best of luck. Fingers crossed with your trades. Let's hope you nail them, and let's hope this week's whoever you're trading in stays out of the nightclubs, eh? All right, have a good one.